Happy Wednesday, everybody. So you know those Babson College videos that we watch, right? Well, we're going to get to create our own tonight. Because we have guest speakers with us. And I want to introduce to you Jim Mayhew. And Jim is Chief Culture Officer at Clickstop Incorporated, and Monica Stefik, and Monica's title is Culture and Communications Project Manager at Clickstop. And Clickstop is going on almost 10 years old. They've received 5 years in a row the Corridor Business Journal's 5 fastest growing company. And they also recently received an award as the best place to work in the corridor. Something.
The coolest place.
The coolest place.
Yeah.
See, that's even better than the best. The coolest place to work. So please give an Iowa welcome to Jim.
Well, thank you very much for having us. Thank you, Kimm, for having us. This is our second night of doing this. We were down for last night, and so that was kind of our dress rehearsal, I guess, was the word I was going to say on this. But we're really excited to be here, and I just want you guys to know that it's kind of a privilege for me, and I think Monica kind of feels the same way, to get a chance to come and tell our story. You know, what Clickstop's doing, what we do, and how we're doing it different in regards to culture and how that impacts our performance. Clickstop, as Kimm mentioned, has been around for pushing 10 years. We started as a lot of successful companies start in a garage. And as you can imagine, growing from a garage to having a 100,000 square foot facility up the road in Urbana, Iowa, we've had some growth challenges, and culture was one of those growth challenges that we faced. So Clickstop, just to give you a little background on what the brand or what the company does, we oversee and manage 8 different brands. One of those brands we'll talk a lot about tonight, which is called U.S. Cargo Control, is actually our major brand. U.S. Cargo Control existed prior to Clickstop ever existing, and we supply the cargo industry with all the necessary straps or other utility items like that to safely transport cargo. So as you travel down the highway, you see all these semis moving product, and in those in all those containers, whether that's on ground transportation or by rail, even air and by sea, that stuff has to be held down. It's a major business. Think of all the things that move every day. So we sell the widgets that help keep that cargo safe and secure. So Monica's going to step in here and kind of help me explain, because as we were just talking about our prep here, we started out primarily as an e-commerce business. So search engine marketing played a role in how we developed the brands, and we're beginning to see an evolution. So I'm going to let you just kind of take over.
So a lot of people, when they start at Clickstop, are even at that point a little bit confused about how we make money and what we do. And so we have 8 different websites that we run that are all online retail stores. We own all the product, we warehouse it, we have a marketing team that markets it, and we have a sales team that takes calls for it. So if you go to ecofoil.com and you call that 800 number, you'll have someone in Urbana, Iowa, pick up the phone at Clickstop and say, "Thanks for calling ecofoil.com, how may I help you?" Same with uscargocontrol.com, fastenersplus.com, and a few others. So when you walk through Clickstop, you'll have a sales team that you could meet taking those calls. There's a business development team calling out to potential clients in the cargo control industry, so they might be calling big trucking companies with giant fleets that they need to get equipment in for. And then we have a service team that's helping with returns or any merchandise that may have been damaged on its way to our customer location. Does anybody have any questions about what we do?
All right. As you can tell, this is what we wear to work. All right. So this is one of the cool things about having a fun company like this. We're not a suit and tie kind of place. People might describe us, if you've ever seen any of our social network stuff, as we're kind of silly and laid back, and comfy and friendly and all those things, and that is true for us. But really what the heart of it is that we're a very high-performing company. So the amenities that we're going to talk about tonight that we have available for us exist to attract talent, top talent, and retain top talent. And as part of that is we need to come in each day and execute not at the level of what the expectations are, but above those expectations. That's what makes us us. Last night I didn't get a chance to talk about this, and we were communicating about this just before the class started tonight. Clickstop's mission statement is pretty simple, and it basically says to operate a business that is sustainable, enjoyable, and provides opportunity for those who seek it. So when you think about that, we talk about that a lot. We're going to talk about our core values tonight, how that plays into the mission statement, and then we're going to tie it all the way back to how that is a strategic enabler of our performance. Okay? When we talk about our mission statement and we say it's sustainable, a lot of you might think that means kind of flat or slow growth. Well, we're not used to that. When we have 20% growth, which we had right around there last year, we're like, what's broken? What's not going right? And other companies would kill for 20% growth. But that's not who we are. We're still young and we see all this incredible potential out there. So sustainable for us means it's what I would consider a fairly steep upward growth curve in revenue and things like that. Okay. When we talk about enjoyable, well, that's a lot of what culture is for us. Is we want to have an environment where people pull into the parking lot and you don't have that anxiety. I'm interested to know who has a job in here. Most of you do. Okay. Do you have that? I mean, and I don't need a response, but you can think about that to yourself. Do you have that where you have some angst when you come to work, and is it a job for you? Our goal is that is not what we want to have at Clickstop. So we work really hard around that, and we're going to talk again more about how we kind of what would be the right way to say it?
We want to create an environment where people don't have to necessarily be motivated or pushed to do great things, but instead they're inspired to because they come to work because they want to do great things. And in the time that I've spent interviewing employees on camera for job descriptions or anything, a lot of them will say, sometimes when my weekend's over and I'm done with all the stuff that I'm doing at home, I really do I like to be at work. And we've had people go through different medical things that have said, and we've told them, you can have time off, whatever you need, if you need space or time at home. And they said, no, I don't want to be anywhere but around the environment that's at Clickstop because that's what helps me thrive. And so part of our goal in our department, culture and communications, is to create that environment and get people doing the right things in the right places in the company.
I had one of our managers tell it to me. We were actually sitting in an employee review, and he is a man of not many words, and his name is Cody, and he's just kind of got this cool personality about him, and just a really good observation. He said, when I talk about my work friends, I mean work friends. He says, I don't mean people that I have, that I work with when I'm talking about it offsite with my family or outside of here. He says, I refer to them as my friends. So that was just kind of a really cool testimonial, and I really believe that's how we try to operate.
Should we show the video?
Yeah, hang on. I'm gonna segue into that. I think tonight we'll do a little different. I want to tell you a little bit about what my role is, and I think that'll help set up for a video that we are going to show you tonight. In 2012, or May of 2012, I was appointed, what you'll see in this video, as the VP of Mission and Culture at Clickstop. Weird title. Didn't know what we were doing with it, really. I took the role after I learned that it was going to be more of a leadership role. At first, we kind of thought, well, we need somebody to kind of help organize events and almost be like a scrapbook in a way, like record the history. And when we bring new employees in, how can we tell that? And well, that sounds good, but that's not for me. And then we decided that it was a role that was actually a little bit more of a leadership role, and it was going to report directly to the company president. Now, prior to me taking that role, I had come in I'm at 5 years at the company. I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and so in 2007, I owned a graphic design print shop in our hometown of Benton. I live, born and raised in Benton. And the owner's wife, Nicole, came into our shop. That competition, just a few blocks down, sent them in to me. And she said, you know, I was in the other place and they said, come talk to you about t-shirts. I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. I sell stuff, right? So I said, heck yeah, we can help you with t-shirts. So we had a 45-minute conversation, put a quote together and things like that. From there, we just kind of, I was asking questions about the business and what do you guys do, and well, man, if you ever need anything from labels or if you need business cards, and I'm just fishing, I'm throwing stuff out there. And the last thing I said is, oh, by the way, we can do catalogs. And Nicole said, well, that's interesting because Tim and I were just talking about that we really need to build a catalog. All right, so she left the office, my office, the storefront there, and I went, oh my God, I've never made a catalog ever in my life. And so it was just like, how are we going to do this? But the point that I'm trying to make is that you sell. Say yes, and you figure it out because all the resources are out there. And so that started my time for the next 2 years working with that company. Again, it was U.S. Cargo Control at that time. And that was pretty interesting. And coming back to 2012 then, I took this new role. We made some mistakes with our culture, and we had known that culture was important for us because we had seen in the early years of the company, even back at that 09 era, that we weren't really thinking about it. We weren't focused on it. We were focused on the jobs. And as a result, we had some issues. When you raised your hands and I asked you, do you ever feel that way? You probably experienced some of those issues. Maybe you participated in some of those things, and some of those things would be like, man, this place is a drag, and it just kills me. It sucks the life out of me, and I did it. I was guilty of it too, and I was guilty of it at Clickstop. And Tim knows that. That's okay. I mean, that's kind of the real, authentic relationship that we have there. And but we overcame that. So where we took that then was trying to figure out that we needed to build some core values. Now, before I get into that, I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and play that video, and it'll set the stage up for how we get into that. I'll do that so you can come right. Hang on a minute.
Anybody else need this?
It's not critical. I'm going to go ahead and talk. All right, so while we're trying to figure out the AV stuff here, I can go ahead and keep talking about what we did wrong. What we did wrong is that we didn't pay attention to the culture, and a culture and how we define it is 3 words: how we work. That's all it matters. Because it's talking about how do we talk to each other, how do we strategize, how do we plan, how do we collaborate, how do we make decisions, how do we talk to people about, what is it like to work here, things like that. All right. So part of the job early on for me back in 2012 was to figure out how do we understand what makes us us. I'm going to tell you a story about how we went into an off-site leadership team meeting. We had penciled in 90 minutes to figure out our core values as a leadership team. So if you picked up on what I just said there, I want you to think about, we went off-site. It was our leadership team that said, we're going to figure this out together. We went off-site that day, and we exceeded our 90 minutes by a long ways. 2.5 hours in, we still didn't have like this real solid plan for what our core values was. But we were inspired by the late great coach John Wooden. Does anybody know who John Wooden is in this room? Got a few people that know. John Wooden was a legendary college coach for the UCLA Bruins. Won 10 national championships. I believe 9 of them might have been back-to-back. So like unbelievable. That's correct. Well, John Wooden built a leadership pyramid because one of the things that inspired us with John Wooden is John Wooden said, I'm not a basketball coach. He said, I'm a teacher of young men. And I think that's really cool. So he had built this really cool pyramid that kind of inspired how we might approach core values. We bring that back, and one of the first things that happened is I had a new teammate. By the way, I was the culture department for 6 months. From May to the end of the year, I was the guy. And that's kind of hard because there's all these things that need to get done, and I'm interacting with people all day long. And the girl that started with me, her name is Nikki. She had been there for just a couple of weeks, and I said, hey, what do you think about this? Isn't this awesome? We did this off-site as a leadership team. We said, this is our core values. And we had things like integrity, and we had things like enthusiasm, or actually we had passion on there first. We had all these things, all these words, and we were trying to like connect them for people. And she said to me, did you ask the employees what they thought? She's brand new with me. We're still trying to find our way and get to know each other. We thought the way we had a really good work relationship, so it was easy. But she's like, you need to ask everybody. I'm like, oh, it's really good. It's all this. And if we ask people, it's going to mean this. And she's like, you need to ask everybody. Lesson learned. So when I said we were off-site as a leadership group, mistake 1. So what we did is we put focus groups together. We brought everybody into the company into 4 different meetings. By the way, we're so huge, we had 50 employees. That's where we were at the time. We're at under 100 right now. We're maybe around 90. We asked everybody 2 questions in there to see if what we thought as a leadership team about what people value, what we value, aligned with our employees, because that's very, very important for us. Ask them 2 questions. What are the traits, the values, and the characteristics that you like in maybe yourself, your coworkers, families, friends, influencers? That could be coaches, pastors, parents, grandparents, anything like that. So we got a lot of responses like, well, loyalty. And we got honesty, and they make me a better person. They give me tough feedback. They inspire me. They make me laugh. And we're like capturing all these up on those big sticky notes on the conference room wall. We're writing feverishly, and then we asked the second question, and it was, what makes Clickstop different than any other business that you've worked for? Trying not to lead in one way or another. I don't want to know if we're better or if we're worse. I just want to know why we're different. And so we began to capture all of those things. So we had, 15 post-it notes, lots of words on there. What we were really trying to do is come back to that pyramid that we had built, and we were trying to figure out, if I see Blake sitting here, if I'm Blake's manager, I would say, how can I evaluate Blake's enthusiasm? So we asked that of our managers. 15 managers, we had 15 of these core value block things, and I asked each one to come up with a list of 5 ways that I could find a way to evaluate Blake's enthusiasm. Thanks, Blake. And so that was pretty cool, but it made Nikki and I have this spreadsheet that kept going like this. It was over 800 lines, and we sorted and sifted and through that. And that was the process that we got to our core values. So we're a no-go on video, do you think?
Thus far.
Hello.
Oh, wait.
I'm Lisa, the content writer here at Clickstop.
Are we ready for it?
Yeah, this would be a great time to show up. There you go. 2012 was the date on this.
Hi, I'm Katie Davis, and I am a search engine marketing specialist at Clickstop.
Hi, I'm Corey. I work in the warehouse at Clickstop.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Siebertsker, and I am lead credit specialist at Clickstop. Hi, do I look right there? Yeah. I don't know what this is all news to me. Hi, my name is Sarah Watson, and I am a sales specialist here at Clickstop. Should I say hello? Sure.
Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm the content writer here at Clickstop.
Hi, my name is Scott Keeling. I'm a warehouse supervisor here at Clickstop.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm a merchandising specialist at Clickstop.
The culture here is a little goofy. We have a lot of goofballs, we have a lot of fun, we have a good time. But honestly, the thing that I really like about the culture here is that everyone is held to a certain standard. There's an expectation that you respect one another.
One thing I noticed about Clickstop is that everyone is, despite being on different teams, everyone is working towards that same common goal.
I think everybody gets along really, really well. Enjoys coming to work.
Attitudes are great, work ethics are fantastic, and just the overall family atmosphere that we have here.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I'm the VP of Mission and Culture at Clickstop. Our culture at Clickstop is summed up in our mission statement, which is being sustainable as a company, having fun along the way, and creating opportunity for those who want.
Hi, I'm Tim, and I'm the CEO of Clickstop. You can expect change at Clickstop, but people always like to be challenged. People want to be respected. They want to have fun. They want to learn every day. They want flexibility, and they want balance.
I think my favorite thing about working at Clickstop is the work-life balance flexibility. Since I started working here, I really feel like I have my life back, and to me that's huge. For the first time, I don't feel guilty going to work to leave my kids, and I don't feel guilty leaving work to be with my kids when things come up. And for me, that's just made a big difference in my life.
We feel respected here and trusted. We're trusted to get our jobs done. We trust others to get their jobs done. Our abilities are respected. It just feels like everybody matters here. Our opinions matter, and we're encouraged to speak up. And that's different from any place I've ever worked before.
With the freedom and flexibility that we get on a day-to-day basis, we're able to actually be more productive and more creative with ideas to better the company's future.
There's almost nothing better than hearing a new person say, "The people here are awesome. It's even better than I thought."
You are who you are, and they, value you being there, not just, another guy in a chain. So that's the big difference.
I have actually referred my future sister-in-law to apply at Clickstop, and she works here now. I would refer a friend to work at Clickstop. Sarah Jakes was actually someone I suggested that she check out some of the opportunities, so I'm glad she's here.
I would absolutely refer a friend to work at Clickstop because it's the best place I've ever worked. Period.
I've seen that video easy 50 times, and one of the things that I'm sitting here thinking about right now is that a lot of people in that video have advanced in the company. There was our VP of marketing was actually, there wouldn't be any way I could point her out to you now, but she was actually sitting in a cube in one of those scenes, and she is now our VP of marketing, University of Iowa graduate, by the way. Her name's Sarah. The other thing that I want, as I reflect on that video right there is, hopefully the first thing you saw is like, it's like a cool place, the kind of place that I would like to work. I have those kind of values, or I'm looking for that kind of thing. I don't want it to feel like a job. So anyway, there's that. The other part of it is I think a video like that just demonstrates that our culture has aligned with our performance. And that was where we had to evolve. So in 2014, that's been our major push, is we've taken it from, this talk about core values that kind of guide us and shape us, to now enabling our performance. And so we use it as a way to get feedback. We're a feedback-based company. So that means it could come peer-to-peer, it could come from managers, it could come from other leaders. We collaborate a lot, and it's through that that ideas come, and inspiration comes, and coaching moments come. Those lead to people becoming if you're naturally a leader, that tendency to lead. So I'm going to let Monica talk now. I talked longer than I intended to. And she's going to cover StrengthsFinder and what we call our Career Accelerator program.
Yes, so our department is in charge of developing people and making sure that everybody is enabled to do their best. And I'm going to have you guys do a little activity just to illustrate my point. And so if you could grab a blank piece of paper and then just draw a line down the center of it. It doesn't matter if it's up and down or sideways. So when everybody's ready, I want you to grab your pen, and I'm going to have you guys, I'm going to time you, I'll tell you when to start. In 1 minute, I'm going to have you write this phrase. I use my strengths every day that I have up on board. But instead of whatever your dominant hand is, I want you to take your pen and switch it to your non-dominant hand. And I want you to think about as you're doing this, if you can concentrate on anything but your writing, how you feel. And let's have you start right when it reaches 6.
We'll begin. I don't hear any chuckling yet. Usually that happens.
I use my strengths every day. 3 times. With your non-dominant hands, just on whatever side.
You're halfway in, folks. The misery will end in less than 30 seconds.
Great time.
10 seconds left. And time.
So who all finished? Anybody? All 3 times?
Who completed it? Did anybody get all three times?
So how was your quality, if you had to say? Red, thumbs down. How'd you feel while you were doing it?
More you spend time.
All right. What else? How'd you feel? Vulnerable.
Rushed.
Rushed.
Challenged.
Excuse me. Focused.
I got better the more I
All right. So it probably didn't feel very good at all to be doing that. So now I want you to switch and use your dominant hand on the opposite side of that page. And in a minute, we'll have you start, and you'll have 1 minute to it. And when you're done, if you just raise your pencil in the air so I know.
Write the same thing 3 times.
Yes, write the same thing 3 times, and you can start when it gets to 7.
Go.
All right. So how was your quality this time?
Awesome.
Good.
Still not good?
How'd you feel writing it this time?
Much better.
Relaxed? Much better? What else?
Like a boss.
What'd you say?
Like a boss.
Like a boss. So the reason why I had you do this, and we have all of our employees do this, is we're introducing to them something called StrengthsFinder. And the point of it is that our department exists to help create an organization where people feel like you just felt when you used your dominant hand. Because if we have a work environment where people are working essentially with their non-dominant hand in everything they do, have to focus way more on things that they maybe don't care about, or they're irritated, and we don't ever want to have that kind of environment. So our purpose is to get all the right people into our offices, doing the right things, going in the right direction. And through StrengthsFinder, has anybody taken StrengthsFinder before? So what happens when you take it, it's a like maybe 25-minute assessment, and it gives you these 5 words that are your strengths. And like, for example, mine are activator, learner, relator, woo, and strategic. And those are just what I am naturally attracted to doing, and I can develop those things into a talent. So I might really enjoy sharing information because I like relating to people, and woo stands for winning others over. And so as we're going through this StrengthsFinder development, we go in and we work with teams throughout the company to help them see the talent that they have, maybe in a light that they didn't get to see it before, and help them rearrange responsibilities so that we can get people doing what they love at a really fast pace. Anything to add to that?
No, I think you hit that very well. Again, we talk about it this way. If you picture your best day at work when you're doing something, maybe it's on the athletic field or you're in the zone, you can relate to it that way, but like the days that you might have when everything's clicking and the day just seems to go by like this, and you're like, whoa, man, I was good today. That's the concept. That's what we're trying to get.
For anybody that's taken their intro to psych classes, it's your state of flow where everything just moves and you're, thinking at this speed or doing something at a speed that's just natural to you. We want to get everybody in our organization doing that, because how much fun is it to be on a team of rock stars that are doing amazing work, that don't respect each other and push each other.
Why don't we pause, because we were promised we would do this tonight. Does anybody have any questions so far on anything? No?
Well, you were talking about earlier that you've been having like a 20% growth rate and that you're not satisfied. How do you plan to kind of broaden your customer base and gain more customers?
Okay, great question. So I'll share it to you from my perspective first, or through our department's perspective first, and then maybe I can talk on a more strategic level. As the Chief Culture Officer, by the way, I work with our CEO that you saw in the video, and then our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer. So we, the 3 of us, work together to guide our business units. First of all, I'll start there just so you get a picture of it. Through our department, implementing things like StrengthsFinder is key to that. Through our department, hiring and recruiting rolls up through us. So, like Monica said a couple of times, the right people doing the right things, moving in the right direction. So our hiring process is stringent. It's tough to get a job at Clickstop. We make it that way because we want to get the best people. We get the best people, and we get them plugged in. That equates to engaged customers. A lot of you have probably heard, that the customer is always right, or you're always trying to make the customer happy. Well, I don't disagree with that, but I do in one way. And that is that if we make our employees happy, and our employees are plugged in, and they're doing awesome, what are we going to get as a result? We're going to get satisfied, engaged customers. So through that kind of focus, again, through our team, that's the way we're approaching it. And then we are strategically making things, we talked about us as an e-commerce brand, and I'm going to come back to U.S. Cargo Control as our main brand. It has become a brand. It's its own company now. It's still part of Clickstop, though. The people that work at Clickstop work on U.S. Cargo Control. And we are picking up the phone, we're making outbound calls, and we're driving traffic to our website in different ways. So it's become more of almost like a standalone business. And so all of those things play into that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
It's kind of like a 2-part question. I guess my first one would be, like, with all your different brands, do you guys all run out of the same building, or is that just like a headquarters and you have different buildings for each?
All out of the same building.
Okay, so how do you, what's the best way to keep track of everything that's going on with all the different brands? Or how do you guys do that?
Go ahead.
US Cargo Control is our biggest website that we run, and it probably accounts for around 90% of our revenue. So we have a whole team dedicated to taking calls from them and to doing returns, to doing business development and marketing for that brand. And then we have another group or team that works on the other 7 brands. And so they could be sitting at their phone, and we have phones that it'll pop up on the screen, like caller ID, to say what website that they're receiving a call from. So the people that are a part of the smaller team that run those 7 brands have to be really, really flexible and knowledgeable in all sorts of different things, because they could take a call for Ecofoil, which is reflective insulation, and then turn around and take a fasteners question and try to explain to somebody doing a DIY project about the nuts and bolts they need to buy. And then they might turn around again and be selling organizational supplies for our website, spacesavers.com. So it's, everybody's under one roof. The only reason Clickstop exists is so that everybody can be employed under one name. So technically, Clickstop just employs a bunch of people, and then the websites make the money. So we sell products to make money, but essentially Clickstop does not sell anything. It's just the websites that we want to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I'll just add real quick, we have some shared resources. So we have our 2 business units, which would be the US Cargo Control, and then the other one, which we refer to as the main brands, like Monica said. Shared resources would be our team, culture and communications. Finance is a shared one. Doggone it, I'm missing the other one. No, IT. Our IT department supports it. So those, our teams support all those other ones. Otherwise, US Cargo Control has its own purchasing team, marketing, sales, and support, those kinds of things. Plus our operations, and that goes into the warehouse and manufacturing. It's complicated. I thank you for asking, because like it takes us a while. Monica and I were discussing that when we started tonight. It's like, I could say it one way, and it makes sense to me. She can say it another, and we'll hopefully reach the whole room by the time we answer that question.
Yes.
So you're an e-commerce site, and you have the bigger, like, you're all under the umbrella of the Clickstop. But my question, like, is that how you grow? Do you find areas where you can find growth? And are you just limited to one line of products or for one area, or is your like future like idea for growth to find any area?
Great question. And it's a question that I think we're debating right now, I would say that. Okay, so when you have one brand that's responsible for 90% of your revenue, it's really tough not to keep those other rock star people that are working there focused on that. So let me address it from a US Cargo Control standpoint, okay? When we talk about that industry, it's vast, it's huge. So we're constantly looking, and so we have our marketing team is broken into 2 sections. One is called category managers. By the way, we're hiring for that role. And the category manager's job is to do competitive research, price analysis. Where can we source it? Can we source it domestically, or do we need to go overseas? And what's the ramifications on either of those things? A lot of the development that we have is because our salespeople have said, "Hey, people keep asking me about this widget, and can we get that?" So that works that way. But on that brand, we may not add a ton more products. Now what we're trying to do is shift in how we reach potential customers. So if you think about up the road, there's a major trucking company called Heartland Express, major trucking company. And it would be awesome that we're actually not doing much business with them. We're 40 miles apart. And so those are the things that we're trying to make sure that we get out there and tell people, hey, we can do this for you.
In the past, this last winter, we launched the fastenersplus.com website to grow that way. So we've done both in the past, but it seems like right now our main focus is on growing uscargocontrol.com and not necessarily opening up another online store. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
It's tough, and the owner, okay, like you guys are in entrepreneurial class. This is the serial entrepreneur we're talking about, Tim. You saw him in the video. And he was the one that had been like for years, I want to launch a fastener business. And so we finally were able to do it because we had the right structure in the company to allow that to happen. So it's coming back to that mission statement, that opportunistic part. It isn't just about our people there, it's about business opportunities. It presents challenges for us internally. I mean, as much as it's kind of even difficult for me to communicate to you guys, internally sometimes it's one of those things of like, what are we doing there? You know, and it's debated. Young company, growing pains, you know, we're trying to figure it out. I don't have a great complete answer beyond that.
Yeah, that's a good answer, because I was just curious, like, if you want to sustain that type of growth, you know, you have to be flexible with like options and opportunities. So I was just like, if you just focus on one industry, you know, eventually your growth's gonna.
It would, correct.
And so I was like curious if you guys had ideas like, maybe we'll get into, you know, some things to animal people or selling, you know, perishable products or, you know, I didn't know what your strategy.
At one point back in that 2009, 2010 area, that was exactly the business model we thought. Because what we had learned on U.S. Cargo Control was really about search marketing. So getting ranked at the top of Google and paying for ads to get us there. And we're like, we can just apply what we learned there to any of these other businesses and watch them do what U.S. Cargo did. Guess what? It didn't happen. It's because we knew our customer. We knew who we were dealing with better on the cargo side than we did. Here's a funny story. We actually operated a brand, and I had my hands on it quite a bit, called Ace Cat Furniture. Guess what we sold?
Cat furniture?
Cat furniture, right? Right? So we go from moving blankets and all this industrial heavy stuff to cat furniture. And some of the same people at the time when we were small were taking that phone call and then having to get back on the phone and talk to
truckers.
Well, or major companies, you know, and wow. So that's why we created those two separate business units, and that's really helped.
We also sold body jewelry for a long time. Body bling.
Are all your brands created in-house, or have you like acquired any outside, like that you purchased?
Both.
Both.
U.S. Cargo Control, ground floor. EcoFoil is another one where it's a reflective type of insulation product, ground floor. Space Savers that Monica mentioned earlier was an acquisition in 2010. The cat furniture business was an acquisition in 2009. So it's kind of close to a 50-50 split. The other one that we're trying to really put some resources into to try to really grow is called Fasteners Plus. And again, it is selling anything, any type of anchor product, screws, bolts. Gosh, I can't even start to name them all. There's 30,000 SKUs in that business alone. And so it isn't like just selling it to like do-it-yourselfers, it's selling it to commercial accounts. Like people that would build this building, they need concrete anchors. So we sell concrete anchors. And the goal would be to sell lots of concrete anchors. Not just some, like not just a box, but pallets.
So as a supplier, are you guys innovative, like making these products better, or are you just helping to sell them?
Well, this is a great question. You want to answer this, Doug?
No, go ahead.
All right. Primarily, we're a reseller.
Okay.
Not really on the development, on the invention or innovation side so much. What we're trying to do is leverage what we do really well, which is market and sell, and reach people that way. By the way, let me segue just a little bit, and I'm going to talk about our competitive advantage quick, just because that made me think of it. So when we talk about, and I'm going to frame this up in U.S. Cargo Control again, our competitive advantage is our people and our culture, period. Okay? Because we're not innovating and we don't have like our own patents on products and things like that, the way that we differentiate can't be sustainable if it's fixed on price. We're not a Walmart. Okay? What we're focused on in kind of a tagline or maybe even our unique selling statement that we're working on is what you want when you need it. And we cover such a broad variety of businesses and industry, even in cargo control. So we know that our competitive advantage can't just rest on, because it's like anything else, you can go do it in 100 places. So our competitive advantage is how do we service people? How do we make sure that we have the right product on hand at the right price? So one of the major company initiatives that's rolling up through our team now that we just took on this year was, how do we create an industry-best customer experience? And it's very challenging, but there's a lot of correlation to our culture to customer experience. Raise your hand if you had a bad experience somewhere, buying something, restaurant, movie, whatever. How many people did you tell? More than one, 2, 3, 4. I mean, you tell people when things don't go there. Well, if you've had a really good experience, you tend to tell people less, actually, which is just maybe human nature. But we want to make that, we want to make our company, U.S. Cargo Control, so awesome that we give people zero reason to go anywhere else. So, product selection, availability, what's our capacity to manufacture straps? When we started that, doing 100 straps a day was like, wow, we just did a lot because there was like 2 sewing machines and we didn't know what to do. Well, now we can do thousands in a day. We have an entire department, entire team out there doing those things. So.
What's the net worth right now?
Net worth? I can tell you what our revenue is. I can't say what our net worth is. I actually don't. We're about a $20 million company. We'll probably finish 2014 if things go really well, in the 22, maybe 23 area. Not huge. Not huge, but not bad either, right? Yeah. I'd love to have a $23 million company that I am. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
Well, she has profit, like what percent of that 20 million?
Oh, man.
That really depends on what products we're selling, because we'll have a bigger margin on certain products and less on others. And so we can take, a little bit of a hit on profitability if we're selling really large volume.
Which one is the best margins?
Well, the company that actually technically had the best margins was the bling business, and we sold that. It's a brag, right? Huge margins. But I want to come back and just maybe expand a little bit more on your question about profit. Okay? So let's say we sold everything at a 50% margin. So we pay $5 for it, we sell it for $1, we sell it for $2, or $5 and we sell it for $10, right? So that's your gross profit, $5. But you got to start taking all these other pieces off of it. So you have the cost of labor, you have the cost of marketing, you have the cost of freight, and you have the costs of keeping the lights on, and operating loans, and interest rates, and then tax, and then owner compensation, and see all these things starting to come off of there. So what sounds like a really great margin at the beginning. So again, if we were a $10 million business, that means we had $5 million of gross profit. Maybe, it's probably not that high, but that doesn't mean we did $5 million of profit either. So I mean, it really starts to get shaved off pretty quick.
One thing that's really cool about Clickstop is based on our profitability, employees can earn profit sharing. And so in a year, I could earn a 20% bonus on top of my annual salary in profit sharing. And the company will pay out to every eligible employee, if you're eligible after a year, that 20% bonus before the owner will take additional compensation. And they actually contribute $50,000 to an account that's our kind of like our philanthropy or community giving program called Clickstop Cares. So Clickstop is, everybody there is very, I would say, conscious of what we spend cost-wise, because that can widen the gap for profit, and also boosting our revenue, because growing revenue just multiplies over and over again profitability. So,
real quick, I'll just add one little thing to our profit sharing. We changed it this year, and it's based on us meeting all of our covenants to the bank, covering our owner compensation, covering growth, basically making sure that the company's sustainable, healthy, and has some money to grow. Then, when we reach that level, that's when profit sharing can kick in. So profit sharing does kick in based on our profitability levels, not just a revenue level, which is really key. We had done it on revenue before. It's like, if you sell $1 million, but it costs you $999,000 to sell it, well, you didn't do real good there. You made $1,000 of profit. So companies, that happens all the time. Some companies, in a fictitious example, might sell $1 million and spend $1.5 to sell that. So you're going to have a $500,000 loss. Any other question?
Yeah, just as a clarification, I know you guys started manufacturing some of the straps
Yes.
custom, right? And I don't think we told that to the students, but, so was that an idea that someone had as a way to be more profitable? And so maybe you can expound
Oh, this
on
is
that.
a fun question. Okay. So if we go back to the origin of the company, Tim, that you saw in the video, started in his garage. Guess who his first employee was? Anyone want to venture a guess?
His wife.
Good guess, not right.
His kid.
It's technically his best friend. All right, so they were best friends growing up. He employed Ben. Ben is number one. And so we've actually talked to him, and we share these stories at like our annual meeting or at other events when it's pertinent to share that kind of stuff. That Tim, all the way back at the beginning, said, you know what? Someday we're going to own a facility where we can manufacture those things. Now it's about a 2-year-old operation, not even quite 2 years old. It was Tim's idea. Let's get it going. There was another Tim there by the name of Tim Sanders, and at the time he helped get that whole operation launched. Why would we do it? Well, here's the fact. We can import those finished goods. Think about a strap. It's all wound up nice and neat. We can import them from China, cheaply. Every other company in the United States is doing the same thing. A few companies were manufacturing it here, and a few are actually the webbing itself. So again, think about that strap. That's all that is like thousands of little nylon strings or polyester strings weaved together in a pattern. Very few companies in the United States. But here's the thing, no one in the United States makes the hardware, the ratchet, the metal pieces that actually does this to cinch the strap up. It's all done overseas. Can't be bought in the United States. It's not competitive. So we would purchase finished goods from China. Good price, quality could be inconsistent, delivery time could be 90 days. You ever hear of a Chinese New Year? One of those things we have to purchase around. That happens every February, and basically everyone goes home in China at that point. It's shut down, kind of like Rockwell might do for a couple weeks here at the end of the year. So that influences those things. So we brought it back here. So we still import the raw goods from Asia. We import, so there'd be the webbing, the ratchets themselves, the ends, and then we actually assemble them and sew them right there in Urbana. So we have large industrial type of sewing machines, and it's literally a very manual process. And we have toured the factories in China, basically to make sure that they were doing practices that we aligned with, that we know what their quality was, and really just to negotiate. So every other year, our main buyer, our VP of purchasing, travels to China with the team, and they tour all these places. But us being able to bring it back to the United States meant that we could be very fast. So everybody wants something custom done. I want a special color, I want a special length, I want a special fitting to it. I need it to be stenciled with my company's name on it, and I need it by Friday. We can say yes now. We couldn't say yes before. We would say yes before only if we could find a domestic supplier that had the current capabilities that we have. Here's the funny thing, and I've been talking with our operations people about this. A majority of our company doesn't even realize that we're one of the largest tie-down manufacturers in the United States. That's kind of a fail on our part. It's like communications is what we do. And we didn't even know that at the beginning. So the capacity that we have rivals all these people that we kind of think helped us along the way to build where we were, and golly, we're right there now. So it's about building jobs. It costs us more to do it, but because we have less, the raw goods, the bulk things take less space to house in a warehouse. We can go get it. We can be consistent on our quality, on our thread that actually holds it together, how we store it, ship it, pack it, all of those things. It's much, much more cost effective. So while our labor costs are higher to do that, because we don't have the inconsistent quality stuff going on, or the wait time, we can say yes to sales we couldn't say yes to, and that, therefore, on the bottom line, balance sheet, more profitable. Great questions, by the way.
I have a question.
Sure.
Just
besides the US cargo and the Echo you mentioned, like I noticed there are a lot of other brands you have like which is on a lot of like irrelevant aspects. So I wonder like before you make that business, how do you do the investigation or the research to determine if it's doable? Or even earlier, like do you have a specific group or the department to keep searching the area you're gonna start a business at?
Wow, okay. Now that's a challenging
Can
question.
I
challenge, what's that?
No, I mean, if you do, like, can you give me a instance, like, on a specific brand, like, how do you do that before you start the business?
I'm gonna do my best on this one.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I will use the business that we've referenced a couple times called Fasteners Plus. So your question is like, how do we know that, I'm thinking if I'm hearing you right, that how do we know that there's potential there, that there's a market that supports it, correct? Okay. The easiest answer is I will say our owner knew that industry. He used to be a sales rep in that industry, has a lot of ties to it, and always has known that on an e-commerce platform, there was no competition. So he understood where to source it from. He knew the major players in there. He knew the gaps that they had. He knew the challenges that they had. So it's sort of like that, just experience factor kicking in big time right there. But it wasn't just going in blind and saying, I knew this would work. It was going to trade shows and developing relationships with the vendors. It was doing all sorts of market research. Who here has taken any classes or understands search marketing at all? I'm just curious, we're talking online search marketing. All right, that is a major, major piece of what we do at Clickstop. So through that, you can use tools like Google. Google has hundreds of free tools basically, and some of them are around doing research, like how many people globally search for terms around fasteners, whether it be concrete anchors or swedge bolts or lag bolts or all these things that I don't even know what they are, right? And you can use those tools to determine, like Google will say, well, it's searched a lot and there's a lot of competition, or it's not searched a lot, so that might kill the opportunity right there. Either one of those, because if it's really busy and it's going to cost a lot to advertise on Google to sell that product, we might spend more than we could ever return to get it. That might not always kill it though, because there's always ways around that. But that's a major way that we do it. So I think those two things, you asked about do we have a team. We do have that marketing team, call our category managers that would participate in that. Then we would look at our purchasing team, and they would look at, well, can we source this overseas? Can we source it domestically? So, they've got connections. And if one of our vendors currently doesn't do that, they'll help us find somebody, because that's kind of the way it works. Good question. Very hard for me to answer actually, because I think in some companies you'd have analysts looking for things like that, and we're just not that big yet.
I think it's really interesting how there's a bunch of companies that are being run by the same people, and I was wondering if I'm a customer and say I'm ordering from the U.S. Cargo Control website, would I ever find out that you guys have other websites that you're working on, or do you try to advertise the other aspects when you're making a sale, or is it just kind of like undercover more?
We don't. You wouldn't know it that when you visit U.S. Cargo Control, when you order from us, you wouldn't know that we own and operate the others. And we actually you could track it back to Clickstop, because sometimes in somebody's email signature or at different places on the website, it might say, our parent company is Clickstop, or we're owned by Clickstop. And it would be hard information to track down, but we don't try to cross-sell across the different brands because the markets are so different.
And that's 99% of the time accurate. There is that time when somebody might be talking to somebody with the U.S. Cargo Control, learns that they're hauling sheet metal or something to a building that's being built, and maybe he works for that contractor, or maybe he is the contractor. Then an opportunistic salesperson would say, hey, and by the way, if you need some fasteners, we also operate this other brand called Fasteners Plus. Let me put you in touch with one of them. That's really rare. I'm sure it's way less than 99% or the 1%. It's a sliver.
One more question? Yeah, one more question.
Okay. So I know that you guys said that a lot of your sales come in by phone.
If you were the purchaser for, and you managed a company that you had to get all the supplies in for a bunch of flatbed trailers all over the U.S., you could look up and type in ratchet strap on Google, and the first thing that'll pop up right now is uscargocontrol.com. So usually when somebody's calling in, they're looking for bulk pricing, special pricing, and discount on shipping or something because they're shipping huge amounts of product. But sometimes the people that call, and when you visit our website, first thing on every page up top, it has our 800 number. So you could check out like you would on Amazon, or you could call us and place your order. And a lot of the time we'll get calls from like a trucker that's driving down the road and he knows his straps are worn, or he knows he needs to order some more, and he may just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm looking for this kind of ratchet strap with this end fitting, and how can you help me? And then one of our sales reps will walk them through that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. It's kind of like this. Have you ever tried to call Amazon? Anyone? Yeah, it's really tough to find a phone number, and it's rare that you would ever call them. We're not like that, okay? So one of the strategies that we have is to make sure that we have awesome customer experience is that we are available when our customers need us. So we have some extended hours. We've experimented with Saturday hours, but we take pride that we'll answer the phone in 2 to 3 rings. We measure our call metrics. We try not to miss calls. Like, it's an objective for us not to miss calls, because I mean, if you think about this, and some of you are here and you're going to own your own business someday, what happens when the phone call rings and you can't answer it? Yeah, you lost your money. Is what happened. So you don't want that to happen. So we make that very available, and understand too that we might think and pigeonhole the cargo control industry into what we think we see on the road, which is owner-operator kind of semi-rigs. And we sell, I think, for motorcycle tie-downs or people that want to like load their golf cart and take it, or their snowmobile or whatever. But we're also talking about contracts with major companies in the United States. In the trucking industry, we're working with 5 of the top 10 privately held trucking companies. Swift, Old Dominion are a couple that I can name. These are industry giants that have, oh my gosh, I want to say pushing $1 trillion in revenue a year. And we're little old Clickstop U.S. cargo control in Urbana, Iowa. It's very humbling. And when you get somebody like that on the phone, you got to make sure that you, number one, you answer it, and you can provide what they expect. And we're just scraping the surface. There's a lot of opportunity.
So if any of you guys want to, I know we didn't get to answer all the questions, if you want to contact us at any point later and ask any of those questions, or if you have thoughts around how you might build your company culture as you're like going out into the world and building these businesses, don't be shy about contacting us. And my email is just monica@clickstop.com, and Jim's is jim@clickstop.com. And also, if you, as you're graduating and looking for jobs, if you're not ready to start your company right away, we're hiring probably looking for about 10 different people right now, and I would expect that number to grow as we grow. So check out our website, and we have a whole careers page, and we have a film that's, we did a little short documentary on our core values that just explains a little bit more about how we work. So,
Thanks for the great questions.
Thank you so much. So I think they shed some light on things that we've talked about and reinforced some things, and we learned, I think, some new things from you too. So thank you so much for sharing. And as entrepreneurs, we're all willing to help others, right? That's how this all works. Jim and I sat together at a luncheon about 2 years ago and just got connected. And so here they are driving down from Urbana. So I want to give you a couple gifts. So a Hawkeye hat.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you much.
And then in honor of your fun culture, these are like flexible little, yeah. Did you get that on film? Now the trick is getting it back in the little carrier.
Thank you very
So
much.
let's give these guys another round.